Hey guys, it's Dr. Adam Nally coming to you live on a Sunday evening. I guess it's an afternoon. Been a long time since I've been online. It's been a really crazy 4, 5, 6 months, however long it's been since I've been online. Life is a little slower this Sunday, and I thought I'd slow down and just say hello. I know a number of people have told me that they've been worried about restarting their ketogenic diet or their carnivorous diet after the holidays, and so I thought I would jump on here and answer a few questions about that. Hello, Emmanuel. How are you? Hey, Ross. How are you? Or Michelle, pardon me. Good to see you guys on here. I've not been on for a long time, and we'll see if some people jump on. That's okay. A lot of times, what people don't realize about a ketogenic diet, a carnivorous diet, is if you cheat on the holidays, if you go through a process where you're not following the program, you're going to have cravings that'll last upwards of 72 hours, about 3 days. And so a lot of people don't realize that. They're not prepared for that. Hello, Joan. How are you? And they find that they struggle after the second or third day getting back on the program. And I have a lot of people that'll go through the holidays and fall off the wagon, essentially, and not get back on for months and months because they think that they should feel better within a day or two, and they don't. It takes about 3 days. So that's something to be aware of and to keep in mind, keep in the back of your mind, that if you cheated, if you fell off the wagon, if you're not following the program like you should have been, then more than likely you're going to have cravings that are going to be pretty immense and pretty powerful for about 72 hours. And for some people that can be very challenging, can be a little bit of a struggle, but that's okay. So one of the things that I would recommend that you do is focus on two things. Number one, keep the carbohydrate levels under 20 grams for sure. If you're doing a carnivorous diet, you're not eating any, but that's not going to solve the cravings that will be there because of the higher insulin spike and the other hormones that occur because of that. Second, make sure that as a female, you're hitting at least 90 grams of protein per day. As a male, that may be upwards of 100 to 150 grams of protein per day. What I've found in the last 6 months with patients is that if we will increase their protein to about 1 gram per pound of their body weight, it has a very appetite suppressive effect, stimulates growth hormone, and actually suppresses insulin even faster and even further. Something that's come out in about three different articles in the last 12 months, talking about how growth hormone can be mediated through the use of protein and appropriate amounts of protein. For a long time, we talked about moderating protein, but what we found is that we never really pushed the protein high enough. And when the protein gets pushed high enough, it in and of itself has an effect on growth hormones. So that's important to understand. So you might consider that. So number one, keep the carbs under 20 grams per day. Number two, increase your protein levels up to at least 90 to 100 grams as a female and 150 or so, even higher as a male, depending on what your body weight is. And again, the calculation was 1 gram of protein per gram of body weight, or ideal body weight if you want to shoot for that direction. That has a dramatic effect in suppressing the appetite, helping the cravings, and helping you get through that 72-hour window that can occur with a lot of times when you fall off, or if you happen to cheat during the holidays, like Thanksgiving. And so as you're jumping back into this new week and you're trying to move forward, hopefully that'll help. Anyway, good to see you guys on here. There's lots of people that have jumped on. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and hope all is well. I will answer some questions if I can see any pop in here. So feel free to pop a question in there and I'll try to answer it. Let me just look through here and see what questions we might have. Hey Greg, how are you? It's good to see you. Hey Nikki, and Joan is on here as well. You're welcome, Joan. Thanks for watching and joining. Let's see here. Let's see if there's anything. And thank you for the hearts, you guys. I appreciate that. Let's see if there's any other questions that popped in here. Facebook is so different since I haven't been on for a while. It's changed how they roll this in here. And yes, I do love bacon, by the way, as you can see, the bacon lover there. Bacon is the pixie dust of the culinary world, I've decided. I've said that before, but anyway, I'll say it again. Hey, Nicole, how are you? Thank you. Go ahead and ask me. If you have any questions, ask away. This is your chance to. I haven't been on for a long time. I'm going to try to come on. I'm not going to promise it just because my schedule's been so crazy. But it's great. We actually sent my daughter off to serve a mission. She's in Missouri right now. She's in the Independence area, serving a church mission for the next 18 months. How bad is sugar-free creamer for my coffee? Joan, it's horrible. Remember, creamer is sugar that's been made to taste like fat to put in your coffee. So it's basically sugar that works for the CIA. And so it's quite a problem. Please repeat the macros you should aim for, said Bobby Joe. Bobby Joe, well, good to see you again. Remember, keep the carbohydrates less than 20 grams if you're doing a ketogenic lifestyle. And then second, we want to increase protein. Now, a lot of times if you read my book or you've gone on my blog, there's a protein calculation that hits a moderate range. And so for someone who's starting with a ketogenic lifestyle, that works well. But if you've been doing ketosis for a while, what we find is that we may want to push the protein higher, and we find that we never quite, if you push the protein up quite significantly, and this is what the bodybuilders do, and this is why they actually see success, and where the argument has arisen between the ketogenic world and the bodybuilding world for such a long time, is that they push really high levels of protein. What we didn't know until about a year ago is that actually, it turns on growth hormone. It actually affects growth hormone. So as a female, you need at least 90 grams of protein per day. And that's a baseline. As a male, you may need to push that somewhere between 150 to 200 grams of protein per day. So for every gram, you need a gram of protein for every pound of body weight. That's kind of an easy round number to hit that mark. Now, that's a different protein recommendation from previously that we used to give, but what it does is it stimulates that growth hormone and actually suppresses insulin further and helps you get past the cravings. And then what you end up finding is you're not eating as much fat. Now, so you may be doing more lean proteins. For someone who's 3 to 6 months into the ketogenic or carnivorous lifestyle, you may actually find that's more effective for your weight maintenance and for your cravings. So hopefully that helps. Yes, Julie, sugar that works for the CIA. So avoid creamers. Creamers are basically dextrose or maltodextrin that have been flavored to taste like cream, but they're actually sugar, and so they're horrible. How does straight whiskey affect blood sugar? Well, Mike, that's a great question. See, remember, alcohol was a sugar before it became alcohol. It was fermented and turned into alcohol. Your liver has to detoxify that alcohol, and it does it by converting it back to a molecule that's identical to fructose in its processing in the liver, and that stimulates an insulin response, and about 5 hours later raises uric acid, lowers nitric oxide, and actually increases triglycerides. So it acts just like fructose does in the body without necessarily raising the blood sugar. So a lot of people will drink alcohol and go, "You never raised my blood sugar." Well, no, it didn't, but it raised your insulin 5 hours later. And depending on how your body handles that alcohol processing, some people can get away with more, other people can't. And so you just have to see what that's doing to your body at the 5 or 6 hour mark, what it does to your blood pressure 24 hours later, what it does to your cravings 24 hours later. So just be aware of that. Kick starting tomorrow, how do you feel about dairy? I don't mind butter, and I don't mind a little bit of heavy cream. But I would say be careful with heavy creams because they do have some carbohydrate in them. And then if it's a hard cheese, I'm okay with using hard cheese. I don't have a major issue with cheese for most people. Hey, Sean, how are you? Let's see here. Let me see if there's another one here. Extended fasting. Do you have a resource that would show the absolute required vitamins? Well, Adrian, I'm not a big fan of extended fasting because any fast that goes beyond about 72 hours suppresses thyroid, suppresses testosterone. And for most of my patients, that's not what we want to have happen. Now, if you have tremendous body weight and you weigh 400 or 500 pounds, extended fasting may be beneficial to get that fat to come off. But what we find is that it has a permanent effect in lowering your metabolic rate. It has a permanent effect in lowering your testosterone by 50% by day number 3, and lowering your metabolism, testosterone, and the thyroid as well. Thyroid, and it can be very difficult to get thyroid to come back up. So we often have to supplement. I have a lot of people that come in having fasted, and their T3 conversion is suppressed, and I have to supplement them because that extended fasting they've been doing has shut it down. So I'm not against fasting at all. I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. I do it almost every day myself. I go 12 to 16 hours without a meal, but I don't recommend extended fasting beyond 72 hours very frequently because of what it'll do, what I see it do metabolically. Let's see. I haven't got enough keto carnivore, but my portions are way out of control. Well, then look at focusing on, Julie, you may want to focus on the protein intake, so your fat level drops a little bit more. Let's see, I was just checking to see if I missed any other questions here. Great questions, guys. Let's see. Hi, Lisa, how are you? Let's see, Mara's on here, Kevin's on here. Kevin Brink asks, does limiting carbs help regulate serotonin levels? I haven't seen that it's the limiting of, well, let me clarify. Yes, it does. It's the ketone production that seems to affect serotonin. The presence of the brain, so let's back up. Remember, the brain needs glucose, a small amount of it, about 100 grams per day, to make serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. And so if your brain is starving for fuel, because you have which often happens to a lot of people who are carbohydrate based in their diet. Their brain is using glucose as a primary fuel. When we shift to where you're using ketones as a fuel, the body then can use all the glucose it needs to make serotonin. And I find that actually we think that that's the process by which it helps with depression and anxiety and schizophrenia and things like that. So pretty cool. Adrian, you're welcome. Let's see. Christy says, I'm the best doc. Thank you, Christy. You're kind. Thanks for all you continue to do to educate. I met you at Omaha's Keto Summit. I'm going to try more protein. Oh, cool. That's awesome. Good. Let's see. Thoughts on exogenous ketones. Lori, I love it. I think they're fantastic. I don't think you're going to see great weight loss with them. That's initially what. Well, let me clarify. For someone who is not following a dietary program, amazingly, when we introduce exogenous ketones, they actually lose some weight. It's not a huge amount, but it's about 20 to 30 pounds, and it's because of what the ketone presence does to the fat cell. It actually turns down the formation of excess cytokines, kind of like what's happening with coronavirus, is that this cytokine storm is occurring, but it's a low level. Your fat cells are actually hormones that are basically endocrine glands that are producing hormones like interleukin 6, interleukin 1, and interleukin 33. There's a number of them that are being produced. And those hormones are what's driving the insulin resistance. When we provide extra ketone, it actually has a suppressive effect on those fat cells, and we'll actually see some weight loss from that perspective. They work great for energy. They work great for focus. I use them for my patients with Alzheimer's, dementia. I use them for my athletes who need some fuel in place, so something they can drink. So I love exogenous ketones. I actually have my own brand that we use through Keto Living. If you go to ketoliving.com, you can see the version we use, that we have. So I'm a big fan of them. But I don't necessarily use them in a protocol for weight loss, because I find that I want people to eat real food is what I usually find. I wish I lived near so you could get under my care. Well, thank you, Martha. I have patients that actually come out once a year and see me, and they do well with that way. And then we do telemedicine, as long as I see you once a year. I just have to see a face-to-face once a year. And I've got some goats who are back here eating the limbs off the trees. And you may hear them, you may hear the dogs growling at each other here in a minute. I'm a type 2 diabetic, non-insulin. I just started Ozempic. Would cutting back even more than 20 grams of total carbs per day work better than for me in lowering blood sugar? I'm not quite sure what your question is. Ozempic is a great drug. I love Ozempic. I use it with a lot of my diabetics. It helps to control blood sugar. If you cut the carbs back, yes, you'll see blood sugar. I usually recommend that all my patients cut their carbs back to less than 20 grams per day, and Ozempic is actually more effective. Pardon the dogs barking. They see a neighbor going down the road here, and they bark at them. Yes, it's an exciting topic, isn't it, Stephanie? So I hope that answered your question, Mindy. So yes, I use drugs like Ozempic all the time. They work fantastic. They're once a week shots for those that are a little further down the road of type 2 diabetes. It works fantastic to cut the carbs back to less than 20 grams per day, and then allows those Ozempic to help control the blood sugar more effectively. And it's amazing that over time we're actually able to start reducing the dose of that Ozempic. It takes about 12 to 24 months to reverse the insulin resistance, so be patient with it, but keep the carbs back, and I find a lot of people do really, really well with that. Let's see if I missed a question. There was one there. Hey, Tammy and Deborah, how are you? If you guys are still here, I want to make sure I got all the questions. All right, let's see here. Excuse the growling dogs in the background. There's always something fun at my house going on. Well, throw your questions in there if you have any others on here. Yes, the answers are helpful. Okay, cool. Thank you, Mindy. I appreciate that. Let me know if there's any other questions you have here, and I will answer them. Otherwise, I'll let you go about your beautiful Sunday. In Arizona here, it's wonderful. The weather's about 72 degrees right now, or actually 70 degrees right now. I think it's dropping in the afternoon. Let's see. Tell me where you're from if you haven't popped it in here yet. I'm curious where everyone's from. Well, let's see. What's the best way to... Is diabetic retinopathy a contraindication for the use of Ozempic? No, it is not. Not that I'm aware of. Martha, I use it with diabetic retinopathy all the time. It actually helps control the retinopathy from progressing. It's essential. What's the best way to incorporate berberine? I usually use berberine in place of metformin. If I have a person that we're wanting to avoid the side effects of metformin, we use berberine instead. It seems to be effective about, for 500 milligrams of metformin is equivalent to about 500 milligrams of berberine, and that's what I find. That's what I use in my practice. I usually use it with people twice a day with meals. How does your BHB compare to Pruvit's Natline being a lot more affordable? The dosages of the ketones are roughly the same. Pruvit adds a number of other components to their supplement. They use a lot more caffeine. I found that was a problem for some of my patients, and so that was one of the big issues as to why I avoided the Pruvit component. They've added a couple sweeteners and a few other, each of their lines has a slight different component to it, which is great. I just wanted some basic exogenous ketones that weren't loaded with caffeine, and that was my big issue, is that we can get caffeine in other ways if we need to. And I had some patients that just couldn't tolerate the caffeine with it, so that's the difference. What's the best way to test ketones? I usually test them through blood. That's the best way I find. There are some breath tests out there, and they're fine, but I find that blood is really the marker that we know the most about, and gives me the most information in regards to helping you understand where you're at in regards to weight loss and the use of things that way. Stephanie's in Missouri, great. Manuel's in Canada, oh, fantastic. Hey, Karen, how are you? Let's see. Charles, you're welcome. Martha's in North Carolina. Love the live sessions. Oh, thank you, Martha. I'm going to try to do more of them, since if life slows down a little bit. The challenge is that life often isn't slow enough for me to do it. But today I had some time, so it was great. Since I went carnivore, I haven't had any blood vessel growth or bleeds in my eyes. I haven't required a shot in the eye, says Joan. Oops, I'm trying to get the last part of this here to see your comment, Joan. Yes, it does heal. I'm amazed. I've had patients with retinopathy actually within 12 to 24 months see dramatic improvement in their overall eyes. Their kidney function is dramatically better. Their fatty liver disease disappears. It's fantastic. Hey, Becky, how are you? It's good to see you. What is BHB? BHB stands, good question, Mary, thank you. BHB stands for beta-hydroxybutyrate. That's one of the 3 ketones that your body produces when you're in ketosis. It's the primary ketone that the brain uses as fuel. So we use an acronym BHB, stands for beta-hydroxybutyrate. Jose, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Adonis is on here with us as well. Fantastic. It's good to see you guys. If you're new to the broadcast, let me know where you're from. I'm answering a few questions. If you missed the first part of the video, watch the replay. I'll leave it on there. Talked about what to do when you start, if you've cheated for Thanksgiving, and how to get back on the bandwagon. So I'd say watch the replay when you get a chance to. And I'll try to roll this to YouTube if I can, so it's on my YouTube channel. I haven't. I'll usually put them on here, and then what I'll do is I'll roll it over to YouTube and then take it off Facebook, so it's not going to be on YouTube, and that's usually what I do, so people can see it. Anyway, was doing keto, lost 100 pounds in a year, then developed gastroparesis. Can't do oils. Can't do raw veggies or proteins. Any suggestions? Well, usually the gastroparesis is driven by something in the diet that's causing the carbohydrate, causing the insulin level to be an issue. That's what I usually see. Usually it's a high insulin response. And so if you were doing keto, one of the questions I would wonder, Candy, is if there was something in your keto or a product that you were using that was driving that gastroparesis. Because and oftentimes the plant-based oils are the problem. So that may play a role. But I'd say sweeteners play a role. Some of the keto crap that's out there. I went to one of the big keto conferences, actually the KetoCon a couple of years ago. And there were like 500 vendors there. And of the 500 vendors that had all these wonderful keto products, there were only 5 of those products in all the 500 vendors displays that I could actually eat myself, because of all the crap they put in there, all the either the sweeteners or the other garbage they add to it. So I would say, I have a lot of patients that tell me tried keto and I couldn't do it and it caused a problem, and it was usually something that was in their food. So be aware of that. do I still use and recommend exogenous ketones? I still use them. I use them for my workout. It's kind of a workout supplement. I use them for my patients with Alzheimer's dementia, and I use them for patients with who like attention deficit or trying to help them focus. I don't really use them as part of the weight loss protocol unless I've got somebody who's morbidly obese and they just need something to sip on throughout the day. We'll do that. That's another alternative. But I don't usually recommend them that way. Good to hear about berberine, says Elizabeth. Do I do telemedicine outside of Arizona? Charles, I do telemedicine for patients outside of Arizona, but I have to establish a doctor-patient relationship with you face-to-face in my office. That's part of Arizona law. And so in order for me to do telemedicine, if I've seen you face-to-face, then I can do telemedicine throughout the year. It's not a problem. But the challenge is that in order to fulfill the medical legal standard in Arizona, I have to have seen you face-to-face at least once throughout the year. So that's what I can do it that way, if that makes sense. So I have some patients that actually come through Arizona periodically once a year, and they'll see me face-to-face, and then we can do telemedicine. It's good to see you doing a live. Yes, it is. It's fun to be doing these live. They're actually fun. Do you recommend a flu shot to my patients? Sweet MC, I actually stopped recommending flu shots. And the reason I did it was I'm a huge proponent of vaccines. A lot of people think I'm anti-vax, and I'm not. I like vaccines. But the flu vaccine is an mRNA virus vaccine. It only hits four or five of the over 600 strains, and there are 2 large studies. And if you go to my blog at docmuscles.com and you type in flu in the search bar, you'll see the article that's there. The challenge is this: if you get the flu shot, it increases your susceptibility to coronaviruses by 36%, parainfluenza virus by 24%, and metapneumonia by 18%. All mRNA viruses have an effect in that they stimulate or they make you more susceptible to other viral infections. And that's been one of the drawbacks or challenges that's associated with any mRNA virus. It's one of the things that I'm kind of worried about with this new coronavirus vaccine, because it is an mRNA virus, and it has the potential to create increased susceptibility to other viral infections while it's in your system. So I'm not 2 large studies, one done in the military, one done in elderly adults, which showed it was actually not effective in reducing hospitalizations or mortality with older adults. And in the military, it actually increases their susceptibility to other coronaviruses and to parainfluenza virus. So I've stopped recommending the flu vaccine. If I have someone who's horribly immunocompromised, I'll recommend it for them, but not for the average bear, I don't. What are my thoughts on Rebel ice cream? If I'm going to cheat, I will use Rebel ice cream because they use monk fruit in it. It actually kicks me out of ketosis, and it causes my cravings to be high. I like Rebel. It tastes wonderful, but I have to use it as a cheat. If I'm going to cheat, that's what I would do. Rather than regular ice cream, I'd probably eat that if I cheat, which is very rare. We retired to Indiana in South Carolina. This is 10 minutes from Charlotte's. Indian Land, South Carolina. From New Jersey. Oh, cool. Wow, that's awesome. Let's see. Hey, Doc, how will a keto diet impact someone who's prone to kidney stones? Remember, kidney stones are driven by one of 2 things: high insulin or dehydration and calcium oxalate that's being stimulated by fructose. So what I find is that most people who are doing a ketogenic diet never have kidney stones again. The only time they have kidney stones is when they cheat. So don't cheat, and you won't get the kidney stones. Calcium oxalate is driven by the metabolism of fructose and dehydration, and uric acid stones are driven by fructose as well. So be aware of that. You guys are very welcome. Mindy just moved to Winston-Salem in New Jersey. Oh, cool. Let's see. It's been 2 weeks, lost 2 pounds. How do I be more effective in weight loss? So Tammy, remember, you're probably gaining muscle and losing fat. So rely more on your waist, not on your scale. The scale will lie to you. That's why I tell you to give it to your neighbor who you don't like. Julie says, oh, that's probably my problem. I'm not sure what we were referring to there. Yeah, fructose ice cream is a struggle. So monk fruit it acts like a form of fructose. Now, people say, it's not fructose. It's an oligosaccharide, which actually stimulates insulin in myself and a couple of other patients. About 50% of my patients cannot use monk fruit, or it halts weight loss. So be aware of that. Remember, avocados are a fruit. That's one of the big things I've been seeing lots of, is people are all up in the air about, why can't I have avocados? Because they're a fruit. You can have some, but remember, the giant Arizona avocados we have up to 20 grams of carbohydrate in them. And people say, well, it's a part of that's fiber. Well, yeah, but some of us ferment that fiber. Some of us have a redundant colon, which actually ferments it, so be aware of that. COVID vaccine will be offered to us at work in 2 weeks. I'm out for now. I am going to probably sit on the fence for a while with the COVID vaccine until I see what actually happens with it. Like I said it was an mRNA virus vaccine, and I'm leery of all of them. So I'm very cautious with those, with my patients. How will a keto diet, I talked about the kidney stone one. Make sure I didn't miss any other questions here. I thought I saw one that swung by and I missed it. I'm looking to see. Maybe I did catch it. Okay, cool. Well, you guys have some awesome questions. Let's see. I'm not on weight loss, says Julie. I've been keto for 2 years, but I've definitely been abusing monk fruit. It's easy to abuse, Julie. It really is. I totally understand that. Monk fruit is one of those that's it's easy to abuse. It's easy to abuse any of the sweeteners. It really is. A lot of us do tons of. I find that if I just do too much almond flour, it makes me bloated and makes me not be able to lose weight. And I don't know if it's just because of redundant colon, if it's because some of us ferment some of those fibers a little better than others, and we actually do get some carbohydrate out of it. Some of us who are highly insulin resistant or susceptible to that can be a challenge. So, but remember, start with real food and keep the total carbs under 20 grams per day, not net carbs. If you want net weight loss, do net carbs. If you want total weight loss, do total carbs. That's my rule of thumb. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, just be cautious with the Rebel ice cream. Be cautious with creamers in your coffee. Remember, creamer is sugar that was made to taste like cream. It's sugar that works for the CIA. Hopefully I got all the questions on there. I think I did. You guys have some great questions tonight. Would sparkling ice drink spike insulin? So Jose, check them. Not all sparkling ices are created equal. Some of the sparkling ice contain sweeteners that raise your insulin. If you go to my website at docmuscles.com and you click on the freebies section, there's a whole article on sweeteners. It'll tell you which sweeteners are okay and which ones aren't. Some of the ices use xylitol or maltitol or a sulfate potassium. You want to avoid those. If it's erythritol or liquid sucralose, you're okay. I need a prescription of bacon to cure the monk fruit addiction. Yes, you do. Or some ham or something. Pull out leftover ham and turkey and have that. Just leave off the monk fruit. There was another question here. Best way to track carbs. Julie, or actually Tammy asked that. The best way to track carbs is I don't put them in my mouth. That's the best way, number one. Number two is I've never found a good carb tracker that works that's user friendly for me. I have some people that use the MyFitnessPal. I have others that use the chronometer. I have others that just look them up. I look them all up online. I look up nutritionfacts.org or whatever it is, and then I look it up and determine and I calculate it and I write it down. I recommend keeping a food journal for about a month, and keep tracking your carbs manually, either by hand or on your phone, and then you kind of know what it is. You're very welcome. Let's see. Great questions because we've missed you. You guys are kind. All right. Well, Julie, I'm writing you a prescription for bacon so that you can cure the monk fruit addiction. Hopefully that helps you. All right. Let me make sure I didn't miss any other questions. If you have any last question, pop it in there on the screen, and I'm happy to answer it for you. If you haven't checked out my website, go to docmuscles.com. If you haven't joined the membership or the Keto Clan, you want to see all sorts of good stuff like this. We've got 13 modules that teach about this. There are PDF self-driven modules that you can read yourself and get a lot of information. So go to docmuscles.com and click on the membership link, and you can see the memberships there that give you access to that stuff. Those are really helpful for a lot of patients that kind of work on their own self-mediated programs that way, or if they can't come and see me in my office. And enjoy that. Hello, Julie. How are you? And there's Lisa's jumped on as well. Like I said, if you guys missed the first part of this, watch the replay. I'll leave it up for a bit, and then I'm going to roll it over to YouTube on my YouTube channel. It's YouTube.com/Dr. Nally. You can find me there. And hopefully you'll enjoy that. Oh, Julie says, we have enjoyed your humor thoroughly in 2020. Some people think it's a little too obnoxious. Some people think I'm a little too political. It's just me. So hopefully, if you like my humor, you do. I know there's a lot of people that don't, but that's all right, because they just go someplace else. But that's all right. All right. Sammy is watching, and Janice is watching. Thanks for joining on, you guys. I appreciate it. If this is the first time you're watching from, tell me where you're from, so I know where you're from. I know there's people on here from all over the world. People in Canada, and I think Mexico is on here as well. So let me know where you're from if you haven't told me yet. Oh, what makes ketosis good for thyroid health? Asks Adonis. Great question, Adonis. If you go to my YouTube channel, and YouTube.com/Dr. Nally, there's a thyroid. You can actually watch the thyroid presentation I gave at the last Keto Salt Lake a couple years ago. The whole thing was on thyroid. But in the nuts and bolts of the thumbnail version of that is that high insulin suppresses the conversion of T4 to T3. Your thyroid gland right here in your neck, right below your Adam's apple, produces a hormone called T4. T4 works from the neck up. And most doctors measure TSH and T4. What they don't measure is T3. Your body converts T4 to T3, and T3 works from the neck down. If you don't convert your T4 to T3 effectively, you make something called reverse T3, which is inert, does nothing. So I have a lot of people that feel like their thyroid's not working. They feel like they have dry skin, hair loss, constipation, weight gain, they're always fatigued, they always feel sleepy, but their TSH and T4 are normal, but their T3 is low. And that's because the insulin is high. So if you're insulin resistant, you're producing a large amount of insulin, it suppresses the conversion of the T4 to the T3, and you will be subclinically hypothyroid. If you shift into ketosis and you're not using glucose as your primary fuel, you end up having an improved what's called a deiodinase enzyme, which is the converter that converts the T4 to the T3. That actually works a whole lot more efficiently, and you actually see improvement. I'll see a full point of improvement in thyroid function just by shifting from a standard American diet or a low-fat diet to a ketogenic or carnivorous diet, because of the effect that it has on the thyroid. Does it always solve it? No. So sometimes I still have to put people on thyroid hormone or adjust it. But a lot of my patients are able to back off some of their thyroid hormone a little bit because they do so well. So hopefully that answers the question about thyroid and gives you some direction there. But I go into that more in detail in that video if you want to watch it. Martha says she agrees with my politically charged statements. Oh, thank you. That's kind of you. Minneapolis. All right, there's Jose. Let's see. Colleen and Jojo are watching. Jojo's from Kentucky. Let's see. Adonis. Yes, I remember meeting you in San Diego, Adonis. It's great. Let's see. Guam is here. Louisiana is here. Julie, are you in Louisiana? Are you the same Julie Jenkins I know? Or are you from... I'll have to look and see. All right, you're in Madisonville, Louisiana. No, cool. Let's see. Julie Collins says, are stevia drops a good substitute for monk fruit? So if it's liquid stevia, yes, that's what I recommend. Now remember, every sweetener has an aftertaste. What my wife discovered is that if you mix 1, 2, or 3 sweeteners together, so you take some erythritol, some liquid stevia, and a little bit of like chicory root, it knocks out the aftertaste. And so you can actually make some really good low-carb foods when you combine the OK sweeteners. That's how you actually take away that funky aftertaste. Just a little caveat from Dr. Muscles there. Hopefully you know that. So yes, use the stevia drops as a wonderful replacement for monk fruit. And if you find that there's too much of an aftertaste with stevia alone, then use Swerve, which is a combination of erythritol and monk fruit. Or I'm sorry, erythritol and erythritol and stevia. Or you can make your own blend, which is what my wife does. Let's see, I love your humor and your politics, says Mindy. I also like that you talk quickly. Otherwise, you lose interest with slow talk. I know, I'm sorry, and a lot of people want me to slow down, but it's how fast my brain works. And so I'll try to emphasize the important words, but I do speak fast. I love your explanations. I'm interested, and it excites me to continue to learn. Well, thank you, Candy. That's awesome. Hello from Florida, says, is it Jaden? Awesome. Candy is in Kansas City. Well, Candy, that's awesome. My daughter is in Kansas City. So she just started serving her mission there in Independence area. So if you see a Leanna Nally that's there, wave at her and give her a hug. Let's see. Denise says, is it also true that if your insulin is too low, you can't convert T4 to T3 effectively? Yes, I hope I made that clear. If it's too low, no. If your insulin's too high, deiodinase enzyme is suppressed by high insulin, not low insulin. There's another suppression of a different deiodinase when insulin's off, and that's a different component altogether. Hey, Carol, how are you? Julie says, this has been great. Thank you. You're very welcome. You are inspiring. Thank you. Well, thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that. Let's see. Nice to see you on Facebook Live again. And Candy, I have seen you in Kansas City before. Yes, I've been to Kansas City. There's been a couple low-carb KCs that I've been to with Heather Carden, who's wonderful there. She's a chiropractor. Her and her husband are there. They're great low-carb folks there. There's a whole slew of low-carb folks in Kansas City that I love. And if you're on here and I didn't acknowledge you, forgive me. Hope you guys are doing well there. What's the weather like in Kansas City? I'm curious. Is it just blistery cold today? Let me know if you're still on here. Anyway, great questions, guys. If there's any other questions, pop them on here. I'll just scroll back up here real quick and make sure I'm not missing any others. Let's see if there's any other questions anywhere. I think I got all the ones above. I didn't miss any. Yes, Candy, that's where I met you. Both low-carb Kansas Cities. 39 degrees right now in Kansas City. Oh my gosh. Wear your coat. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. I sent a warm coat with my daughter, so hopefully she stays warm. It's 40 and windy, says Candy. 39 degrees. Oh my gosh, Stephanie says. Oh, that's freezing cold. And it's not even dark. Well, I guess it is dark there. You guys you're an hour ahead of us. Is the low supposed to be like 32 today or 20 tonight? Is that what it is? I think I saw something like that. It was yesterday. Anyway, well, stay warm for those of you who are up north. I hope you don't freeze. And if you're cold, cook some bacon. It'll warm your toes. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. Mindy says Ben Shapiro talks faster than I do. He does. I love Ben Shapiro. He's very intelligent. Yes, he is. And I'm a big fan of Ben Shapiro. And I keep up with Ben Shapiro, although I think Ben talks faster than I do. Some people have trouble keeping up with that speed. That's okay. I will emphasize the important words for you if you do. It's 63 in Northern California. I think it's 68 right now. The temperature's dropped just a little bit, but it's jacket weather. It's perfect here. You get to wear your felt hat and your jacket, sit outside with the birds, and watch my goats as they chew on the trees and my dogs as they bark at the chickens. It's great here on the farm. You guys are very welcome. I'm going to try to pop on Sundays to give you a little information. We'll see if I can do that consistently. It's been hard to find a good time to pop in just with all the craziness that's been happening in my practice. That's been a little wild and crazy, but that's all right. All right, you guys, I'm going to sign off. Have a great evening. And check out, like I said, check out my blog, docmuscles.com, the Facebook page, the membership site there. Check out my YouTube channel, YouTube/Dr. Nally, and we'll see you on Facebook Live again. Take care, guys. Remember, keep the fat high, keep the carbs low, pass the bacon. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.